Miyamoto Musashi, known as one of the most legendary swordsmen of feudal Japan, was more than a warrior. He was a strategist, artist, and philosopher, whose teachings have endured through centuries. His life was marked by over 60 undefeated duels and a solitary quest for perfection that was as spiritual as it was physical. These life lessons, drawn from his journey, reveal the spirit of Bushido, the code of the samurai, but also offer wisdom applicable to anyone seeking mastery, resilience, and purpose. 1. Embrace the way of strategy. To understand the philosophy that guided Musashi's life, we must first look at what he called the way of strategy. Musashi believed that mastery, whether in martial arts or in life itself, required not only technical skill but a deep, almost spiritual understanding of the discipline. His idea of strategy wasn't limited to outwitting an opponent, it was an all-encompassing path, a way to approach every facet of existence with purpose, intelligence, and precision. Musashi's early years and the birth of strategy. Musashi was born into a samurai family in 1584, during the Sengoku period, a time of intense military conflict and clan battles in Japan. At a young age, he experienced the chaos of war and learned that survival depended not only on strength but on adaptability and insight. These early lessons shaped his view that a successful warrior was as much a strategist as a swordsman. He fought his first duel at the age of 13 against Arima Kihei, a trained samurai from a respected school. Musashi, though untrained and lacking formal education in swordsmanship, carefully observed his opponent's stance and habits. In the heat of the duel, Musashi exploited Kihei's overconfidence and struck decisively, securing his first victory. From this young age, Musashi's understanding of strategy was born, not as something learned in a textbook but as a way of perceiving his opponent's vulnerabilities and creating a path to victory. A lifelong dedication to the way. Musashi was never content with superficial knowledge. He immersed himself fully in his training, practicing not only swordplay but also the mental and spiritual dimensions of combat. He developed a unique, two-sword fighting style, Niten Ichi-ryū, which required ambidexterity and intense focus. This style was revolutionary, allowing him to confront multiple opponents and adapt quickly to their movements, proving that strategy was as much about mental flexibility as physical prowess. His life's path was never limited to becoming the strongest, rather, it was to understand the way of strategy so deeply that it could be applied to all things. Musashi believed that through complete immersion in one discipline, one could find the principles that applied universally. His insight, to know 10,000 things, know one well, speaks to this philosophy. By mastering a single art, he could see its patterns reflected in all other aspects of life, from relationships to personal challenges. The Book of Five Rings and the Way of Strategy. In his later years, Musashi compiled his teachings in the Book of Five Rings, a manual that elaborated on his approach to strategy and swordsmanship. Divided into 5 books, Earth, Water, Fire, Wind, and Void, each represented an element essential to mastering the way of strategy. Earth symbolizes the grounding knowledge and foundational techniques essential for any skill. Water speaks to adaptability, the ability to move fluidly and adjust tactics based on the situation. Fire represents the intensity and passion required to overcome obstacles. Wind addresses understanding the strategies of others, allowing one to anticipate and counter them. Void represents the pinnacle of mastery, where the mind is empty of distractions, free to respond without hesitation. Musashi believed that each of these elements was integral to becoming a well-rounded individual, capable of facing challenges not just in combat, but in every area of life. To him, strategy was a way of thinking and being, a comprehensive mindset that allowed one to live with purpose, clarity, and a sense of direction. Applying Musashi's way of strategy today. In modern life, the concept of the way of strategy is highly applicable. Whether pursuing a career, mastering a skill, or facing personal challenges, Musashi's teachings encourage us to go beyond surface-level understanding. Instead of rushing from one task to the next, we can strive to understand our chosen path deeply, learning not only the how but the why of our actions. For example, in a career setting, embracing strategy means focusing on the foundational principles of one's field, continuously learning, and understanding how each action contributes to a larger goal. It's about being aware of not just the technical aspects but the strategic environment, understanding competitors, identifying personal strengths, and knowing how to leverage them to make decisive moves. Key takeaway: Musashi's way of strategy teaches that life is best approached with a combination of deep knowledge, mindfulness, and purpose. By committing to understanding the principles of our chosen pursuits, we gain clarity, make wiser decisions, and act with greater conviction. 2. Cultivate discipline and perseverance. Musashi's life was characterized by an unwavering dedication to his craft, grounded in rigorous self-discipline and unrelenting perseverance. His journey was not easy, marked by periods of intense hardship, solitude, and physical exhaustion. Yet, his commitment never faltered. For Musashi, discipline was the cornerstone of success, a necessity that went beyond mere physical training to encompass mental and spiritual resilience. Early trials and the path of self-discipline. After Musashi's first duel at age 13, his path led him into countless other battles. But he did not simply rely on natural talent or brute strength, rather, he refined his techniques through years of disciplined practice. Unlike other samurai, Musashi chose a life largely outside the rigid structures of dojo training and mentorship. He instead wandered Japan, honing his skills alone, often under harsh conditions. His isolation was both a physical and spiritual choice, a test of self-reliance that forged him into a warrior not dependent on the approval or recognition of others. One well-known episode in his life illustrates his fierce discipline and resourcefulness. In a famous duel against Sasaki Kojiro, Musashi arrived late on purpose, having chosen to row himself across a river. He was armed with only a wooden oar that he had carved into a weapon. Many believed he did this to taunt his opponent, but the real strategy lay in keeping Kojiro in a state of tension and distraction. Musashi's self-discipline allowed him to arrive mentally prepared, while his opponent, thrown off by the unorthodox behavior, faltered. Musashi's late arrival was a test of his patience, mental clarity, and calmness under pressure, skills that his disciplined lifestyle had ingrained in him. The role of perseverance in self-mastery. Throughout his life, Musashi embraced intense practice and grueling training as part of his journey toward mastery. After winning dozens of duels and securing a reputation as an undefeated swordsman, he continued to push his limits. He famously fought with only wooden swords in some matches, challenging himself to win without relying on a sharp blade. This approach wasn't about arrogance. It was a practice of self-discipline that forced him to rely on skill and strategy rather than weapons. For Musashi, perseverance was about enduring hardship and finding strength in the face of struggle. In his later years, when he withdrew to a cave to meditate and write, his daily life was simple but demanding. He continued practicing, studying, and reflecting on the lessons he had learned. His commitment to constant improvement, despite having already achieved unparalleled success, illustrates the depth of his perseverance. Applying Musashi's discipline and perseverance in today's world. Musashi's life reminds us that true success requires not only talent but the commitment to persevere through challenges. In today's world, where instant gratification is common, his teachings underscore the importance of patience and dedication. In any endeavor, from personal fitness to career achievements, the foundation of success lies in disciplined effort and the willingness to push through obstacles. For example, in the workplace, cultivating discipline might mean setting aside daily time for skill development, even if immediate rewards aren't visible. Musashi's approach to perseverance also highlights that setbacks and struggles are part of the journey. Rather than fearing failure or giving up when the path becomes difficult, we should see these moments as opportunities to build strength and resilience. Key takeaway: Musashi's teachings remind us that discipline and perseverance are essential for any meaningful achievement. Approach challenges with patience, endure the tough moments, and stay focused on the long-term goal. Success lies in consistent effort and the ability to keep going, even when the way is uncertain. 3. Observe without judgment. Musashi's ability to observe without judgment was one of his most powerful tools in both life and combat. He believed that clarity of mind was essential for making effective decisions, and he practiced detachment to keep his emotions from clouding his perceptions. This approach allowed him to anticipate his opponent's movements, read their intentions, and stay one step ahead. A warrior's mindset: observing the enemy. Musashi's observational skills often gave him a strategic advantage. He trained himself to look beyond surface appearances, paying attention to his opponent's body language, breathing patterns, and even subtle shifts in posture. In his legendary duel with Bacon, a master of chain sickle combat, Musashi faced an unconventional weapon he had never encountered before. Bacon's weapon, a long chain with a sickle, had the potential to catch a sword or disarm an opponent. Most would have panicked, but Musashi remained calm and focused. He observed Bacon's rhythm and understood that the chain's strength was also its weakness. By studying his opponent's timing and positioning, Musashi waited for a precise moment when the chain left an opening. With a swift movement, he neutralized Bacon, demonstrating how careful observation can lead to effective counteraction. Seeing things as they are. Musashi's detachment wasn't limited to combat. His observations extended to life itself, where he applied this philosophy to make clear-headed decisions. He understood that assumptions and emotions could cloud judgment, leading to impulsive or miscalculated actions. By training himself to observe without immediate judgment, Musashi cultivated a mind that could remain calm under pressure, a skill essential not only for a warrior but for anyone facing life's challenges. In his writings, he often described detachment as an essential part of self-mastery. To Musashi, detachment didn't mean indifference or apathy, it meant maintaining a mental space free from unnecessary distractions and preconceptions, allowing him to respond with clarity and purpose. Practical application: observing without bias. In modern life, observing without judgment can improve relationships, decision-making, and personal growth. For example, in interpersonal conflicts, stepping back to observe without reacting emotionally can lead to more productive conversations and resolutions. By avoiding assumptions, we allow ourselves to see others' perspectives more clearly, reducing misunderstandings and building empathy. In the workplace, this mindset can also be invaluable. Facing a difficult situation, such as a conflict with a colleague or a challenging project, often triggers stress, which clouds our perceptions. Applying Musashi's principle of detachment, we can approach the problem objectively, making decisions based on facts rather than emotional reactions. Key takeaway: observing without judgment fosters clarity, patience, and empathy. Practice stepping back from immediate reactions, and cultivate the habit of seeing situations as they are. This approach not only helps you make wiser decisions but also allows you to understand others more deeply. 4. Adaptability and fluidity. Musashi's success was not merely the result of fixed strategies, it was his adaptability that made him nearly unbeatable. He viewed each encounter as unique, understanding that rigid approaches often lead to failure. For Musashi, adaptability and fluidity were qualities of a true master, allowing him to respond to any situation with ease. The duel on rocky terrain, a lesson in adaptability. One of Musashi's more challenging duels took place on rocky terrain, where the uneven ground made traditional footwork difficult. His opponent, a highly skilled swordsman, assumed that Musashi would be disadvantaged on this terrain. However, Musashi adapted his fighting style to match the conditions. Instead of relying on conventional techniques, he improvised, using the rocks to his advantage and moving unpredictably. This duel exemplified his philosophy of fluidity, which he later detailed in the Water chapter of the Book of Five Rings. Just as water conforms to the shape of its container, Musashi's mindset was flexible, capable of adjusting based on the environment and opponent. His ability to remain fluid gave him a mental and physical advantage, allowing him to adapt to circumstances that might overwhelm others. The water element, adapting to life's challenges. Musashi's Water chapter wasn't just about combat, it was a metaphor for life. He believed that we must approach challenges with a flexible mind, ready to adjust as needed. Just as water can flow around obstacles or change form, he urged his followers to embrace a mindset that could bend rather than break under pressure. In later life, Musashi applied this fluidity to pursuits beyond swordsmanship. He took up painting, calligraphy, and sculpture, finding new ways to express his philosophy through the arts. His adaptability allowed him to explore these new skills, proving that fluidity was a universal principle that could be applied to all endeavors. Applying adaptability in the modern world. Today, Musashi's lesson on adaptability is as relevant as ever. In an era of rapid change, the ability to adjust is invaluable. Whether it's adapting to new technology, changing careers, or navigating unexpected challenges, cultivating flexibility allows us to approach situations with creativity and resilience. For instance, in a professional setting, rigid adherence to a single method can lead to stagnation. By staying open to new ideas, experimenting, and learning from unexpected outcomes, we can grow and evolve. Musashi's fluidity reminds us that success is not about strict adherence to one approach but about finding ways to adapt and innovate. Key takeaway: adaptability and fluidity are strengths in any endeavor. Embrace change, adjust your approach as needed, and remain open to new possibilities. Just as Musashi adapted his fighting style to various conditions, we too can thrive by responding to life's challenges with a flexible mindset. 5. Face death to find life's purpose. One of Musashi's core philosophies was a deep understanding of mortality. His life, filled with battles and duels, constantly brought him face to face with death. Rather than fearing it, Musashi learned to accept death as an inevitable part of life, and this acceptance gave him unparalleled clarity and focus. For Musashi, understanding death was not morbid, it was liberating. He believed that only by coming to terms with death could one fully appreciate life's meaning and live with purpose. The philosophy of accepting death. Musashi's view on mortality wasn't about recklessness or embracing danger for its own sake. Instead, he saw it as a way to release oneself from the fear that often paralyzes decision-making. He understood that fear of death could cloud the mind and inhibit clear, strategic thinking. By meditating on death and accepting it as part of his existence, Musashi was able to approach each battle without hesitation, fully committed to the present moment. This mindset is especially evident in the Japanese samurai tradition of Bushido, which emphasizes loyalty, courage, and honor, even in the face of death. For Musashi, understanding death allowed him to let go of attachments to ego and material concerns, focusing solely on his craft, his discipline, and his personal philosophy. Life lessons from facing mortality. As he aged, Musashi's contemplation on mortality deepened. He wrote about it in the Book of Five Rings, encouraging readers to understand that life's fleeting nature is what makes it precious. By embracing death, he found liberation from everyday anxieties and distractions, allowing him to devote himself fully to self-mastery and his pursuits in the arts and philosophy. Musashi's acceptance of mortality gave him an unwavering sense of purpose. Each duel was approached with total commitment, each action with intention. His philosophy teaches that facing mortality can strip away the superficial and bring clarity to what truly matters in life. Applying Musashi's mindset on mortality today. Musashi's approach to mortality can inspire us to live more purposefully. In a world filled with distractions and uncertainties, his lesson reminds us to prioritize what is truly meaningful. Reflecting on the impermanence of life can serve as a reminder to let go of trivial concerns, focus on our goals, and cherish our relationships. Today, we can apply this principle by periodically reflecting on our own mortality, not as a source of fear, but as motivation to live with intention. This perspective encourages us to focus on personal growth, seek fulfillment, and live in alignment with our values, knowing that time is limited. Key takeaway: embracing mortality allows us to let go of fear, focus on our purpose, and live with clarity. Musashi's wisdom reminds us to prioritize what matters and commit fully to each moment, unburdened by fear of the inevitable. 6. Seek mastery through simplicity. Musashi believed in the power of simplicity and often emphasized stripping away the unnecessary to reveal the essential. His minimalist approach to both combat and life was evident in his strategies and lifestyle. Musashi's path to mastery was not about accumulating techniques or possessions, it was about refining and simplifying. The art of simplicity in combat. Musashi's unique two-sword style, Niten Ichi-ryū, exemplified simplicity in action. His technique wasn't cluttered with overly complex movements or elaborate footwork. Instead, it focused on fundamental principles, balance, timing, and precision. By simplifying his approach, he was able to respond fluidly and efficiently, adapting to his opponent's movements without wasting energy. This simplicity also translated into his equipment. Unlike many samurai who invested in ornate armor or prized swords, Musashi often used basic wooden swords or made weapons from found objects, such as the oar in his duel against Sasaki Kojiro. His focus wasn't on the tools but on the principles of combat and his own ability. This minimalist mindset reflected his belief that true mastery requires understanding the essence of an art, not embellishing it. Simplicity in everyday life. As Musashi grew older, his minimalist philosophy extended beyond combat. He adopted a life of austerity, choosing to live without excess. His lifestyle was simple, yet focused, dedicated to his practice, studies, and writing. Musashi's commitment to simplicity was a form of discipline, a way of keeping himself free from distractions. In the Book of Five Rings, Musashi emphasized that simplicity fosters clarity. By eliminating what is unnecessary, one can focus more sharply on what truly matters. This approach led to a streamlined life, where energy could be directed toward mastery and growth rather than being scattered on trivial pursuits. Applying simplicity for personal growth today. Musashi's lesson of simplicity can be applied in many areas of modern life. In a world filled with constant stimuli and material desires, his philosophy encourages us to focus on essentials. Whether it's decluttering our physical space, simplifying our routines, or refining our skills, embracing simplicity allows us to concentrate on what truly matters. In personal development, this could mean focusing on a few core habits that support growth, rather than overwhelming oneself with too many goals. In career or creative pursuits, it's about honing one's craft by mastering foundational skills rather than chasing after every new trend. Key takeaway: Musashi's path to mastery teaches that simplicity is powerful. By focusing on essentials and eliminating distractions, we can approach life with clarity and purpose, dedicating ourselves to what truly matters. 7. Practice mindfulness and be present. Musashi's approach to life was rooted in mindfulness and being fully present in each moment. In both combat and daily life, he believed that awareness was essential for making effective decisions and responding appropriately to each situation. Mindfulness in battle. Musashi's concept of mindfulness was not passive, it was an active state of readiness. In his duels, Musashi would remain intensely focused on his opponent, aware of every subtle movement and shift in energy. This level of mindfulness allowed him to anticipate attacks and react instantly, often giving him an edge over his opponents. His presence in the moment meant that he wasn't distracted by thoughts of victory or defeat. Instead, he focused on each second, each movement, and each breath, allowing him to engage fully with the task at hand. This mindfulness, coupled with his extensive training, enabled Musashi to act with precision and adaptability. Mindfulness beyond combat. Musashi carried this principle into all areas of his life. His artistic pursuits, such as calligraphy and painting, required a steady hand and a focused mind. He approached these arts with the same level of presence, viewing them as extensions of his warrior spirit. For Musashi, mindfulness was not merely a mental practice but a way of life, a discipline that allowed him to connect deeply with whatever he was doing. Practicing mindfulness in the modern world. Today, mindfulness has become a widely practiced technique for stress reduction and mental clarity. Musashi's version of mindfulness aligns with modern practices, emphasizing presence, focus, and awareness. By bringing full attention to each task, we can reduce stress, improve our performance, and connect more meaningfully with our experiences. In practical terms, Musashi's mindfulness can be applied by setting aside dedicated time to focus on single tasks, reducing multitasking, and practicing meditation or deep breathing. Whether at work, in relationships, or during personal pursuits, cultivating presence helps us respond to life's challenges with calmness and clarity. Key takeaway: mindfulness, as Musashi practiced it, is about engaging fully with each moment. By being present, we become more aware, make wiser decisions, and deepen our connection to each experience. 8. Embrace solitude for self-discovery. Musashi often chose a path of solitude, believing that being alone allowed him to reflect deeply and understand his inner self. His periods of isolation, both in his youth and later in life, were not only physical but also emotional and spiritual. Through solitude, he cultivated self-reliance and independence, focusing on self-discovery and personal growth. Solitude as a path to inner strength. Throughout his life, Musashi found strength in solitude. After leaving the established structures of traditional dojos, he journeyed across Japan, living a nomadic life and challenging himself in duels. This path, while lonely, allowed him to detach from societal expectations and focus purely on his craft. By facing life's challenges alone, he learned to trust himself, finding strength in his own abilities and mindset. In his later years, Musashi retreated to a cave, where he spent his days in deep meditation and reflection. During this time, he composed the Book of Five Rings, crystallizing the philosophies he had developed over a lifetime. His solitude wasn't just about physical isolation, it was a way for him to reconnect with his core values, undistracted by the opinions or influence of others. Self-discovery through solitude. For Musashi, solitude was essential for understanding his own mind and spirit. He believed that only by turning inward could one develop true self-knowledge and clarity of purpose. Through solitude, Musashi refined his ideas about strategy, life, and personal growth. This self-reflection allowed him to gain insight into his fears, desires, and motivations, ultimately helping him achieve mastery over his mind. Applying solitude in today's world. In our modern, hyper-connected world, embracing solitude can feel challenging. Yet Musashi's life teaches us that time alone is invaluable for personal growth. Taking time for solitude, whether through meditation, journaling, or quiet reflection, can help us reconnect with our inner selves, clarify our goals, and develop a deeper understanding of our values. For example, setting aside unplugged moments each day or spending time in nature can foster a sense of solitude even amidst a busy life. Musashi's solitude wasn't about isolation from people, it was about creating space for self-reflection. By periodically stepping back, we can approach life with greater awareness and a stronger sense of self. Key takeaway: solitude fosters self-discovery and inner strength. Embrace moments of quiet to reflect on your thoughts, reconnect with your purpose, and build resilience. Musashi's example shows that true mastery begins with understanding oneself. 9. Remain detached from success and failure. Musashi viewed both success and failure as temporary and believed that attachment to outcomes could cloud judgment and hinder growth. He saw every victory or defeat as simply a stepping stone, never allowing either to define him. This attitude of detachment was key to his philosophy, allowing him to stay balanced and focused on continuous improvement. The mindset of detachment in combat. In battle, Musashi's detachment allowed him to remain calm and composed, unaffected by the highs of victory or the fear of defeat. He approached each duel as an opportunity to test himself and improve his skills, rather than as a means of gaining fame or validation. This lack of attachment enabled him to stay focused, make clear decisions, and avoid the pitfalls of overconfidence or desperation. Musashi's detachment was particularly evident in his later years, as he began to view his duels as spiritual exercises rather than competitions. Winning or losing became secondary to mastering his craft and honing his self-discipline. This mindset kept him humble, resilient, and open to learning. Seeing success and failure as lessons. For Musashi, both success and failure held valuable lessons. He believed that victories could easily lead to complacency if one became too attached, while failures could become obstacles if one viewed them as final. Instead, Musashi saw each experience as a chance to grow, reflecting on both his successes and his mistakes without letting them define his worth. This detachment helped him achieve balance, allowing him to remain grounded in his principles rather than being swayed by external outcomes. Musashi's view was that true mastery involved overcoming one's ego, and detachment was a means to achieve this self-mastery. Applying detachment in everyday life. In modern life, Musashi's detachment from success and failure reminds us not to let outcomes dictate our self-worth or motivation. In careers, personal projects, or relationships, detaching from the need for specific results can allow us to approach situations with a clearer, more balanced mindset. Whether facing a promotion, a job rejection, or a creative project, seeing each experience as a step on a larger journey helps us grow without becoming fixated on any single outcome. By focusing on continuous improvement rather than momentary success, we can maintain resilience, overcome setbacks, and approach each experience as an opportunity to learn. Key takeaway: Musashi's Detachment teaches us that true strength comes from within. Let go of rigid expectations, learn from each experience, and focus on steady progress rather than getting attached to specific outcomes. 10. Walk your own path with integrity. One of Musashi's most enduring life lessons is the importance of walking one's own path with integrity. He rejected traditional norms, choosing a path that aligned with his values and vision. Musashi's commitment to his own principles, even when they clashed with social conventions, made him a unique figure in samurai history and ultimately shaped his legacy. The warrior's path. From a young age, Musashi chose an unconventional path. Unlike other samurai who trained in dojos or followed established masters, Musashi was largely self-taught, choosing to roam the countryside and seek his own battles. He didn't conform to traditional hierarchies or accept the norms of samurai culture blindly. Instead, he questioned and adapted his approach to match his personal philosophy. This independence allowed Musashi to develop his own style, Niten Ichi-ryū, and his own code of conduct. He didn't seek the approval of others. Instead, he focused on mastering his craft, living by his principles, and pursuing self-improvement. His journey was a testament to the power of living authentically, free from societal expectations. The legacy of integrity. Musashi's commitment to his path earned him both respect and criticism. Many viewed his methods as unconventional, even rebellious, but his integrity and dedication to his ideals inspired admiration. By remaining true to his values, Musashi left a lasting impact on Japanese martial arts and philosophy, influencing generations who admired his courage and independence. His integrity wasn't about defiance for its own sake but about living a life aligned with his values. Musashi's unwavering commitment to his path, regardless of external opinions, serves as a powerful reminder of the strength that comes from authenticity. Walking your path with integrity today. In today's world, Musashi's lesson on integrity resonates as a call to live authentically. Walking your own path means embracing your unique values, setting boundaries, and following your passions, even if they don't align with others' expectations. Integrity requires self-reflection, courage, and a willingness to stand by one's convictions. For example, in career choices, relationships, or personal goals, staying true to oneself often involves making difficult decisions that prioritize inner values over external approval. Musashi's life reminds us that true success lies not in conforming but in cultivating a life that resonates with who we are at our core. Key takeaway: Musashi's lesson in integrity teaches us to honor our own path and live by our principles. Authenticity and self-respect come from following our values, even if it means standing alone. Embrace your unique journey, and find strength in the integrity of living a life true to yourself. In conclusion, the legacy of Musashi's teachings. Miyamoto Musashi's life was an extraordinary blend of discipline, wisdom, and resilience. His lessons, forged through personal experiences and profound self-reflection, remain timeless. Musashi's teachings are not just for warriors, they are for anyone seeking personal growth, inner peace, and mastery over life's challenges. From embracing solitude to walking one's own path with integrity, Musashi's life illustrates the power of self-discipline, adaptability, and detachment. His legacy invites us to cultivate mindfulness, seek simplicity, and embrace the impermanence of life. By adopting Musashi's principles, we too can develop resilience, gain clarity, and approach life with a balanced, unshakable spirit. Ultimately, Musashi's life reminds us that mastery is a journey, not a destination. It is about continuously refining ourselves, learning from each experience, and committing to a path of self-discovery and growth. Musashi's teachings inspire us to live with purpose, courage, and a profound sense of inner peace. Final thought: Musashi's wisdom is a gift to all who seek to live fully, embracing each challenge with strength, each success with humility, and each moment with mindfulness.